Welcome to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. And welcome to week 5 of the 2024 college football season. That's right, we're up to week 5 already. We'll do a quick little recap of our previous week, how I did, and then we'll dive into the week 5 action with 10 games on Saturday. All right, last week I didn't do too hot, and I ended up going 5-5. There's a lot of games I tried to see if I can pick the underdog, and I'll have a bet me. One of the ones was USC Michigan. I didn't see Michigan stepping up. I really didn't. I had a little more faith in USC, but Michigan proved me wrong. They stepped up in the big house. They weren't going to let themselves lose 2 games in a row at home. So congrats to Big Blue for notching that victory, giving me another loss. Utah going into Oklahoma State. I didn't think the with Rising not be able to play. I know the Utes will be up there to rise to the occasion in Stillwater. Oklahoma State did try to make it a game, but the Utes were just too much. Ended up winning that one. The battle for Iron Skillet. I didn't trust in SMU, so I went with TCU, and SMU used the Skillet to knock out the Horned Frogs. Head back to the state of Oklahoma and going to Norman, where this Boomer Sooners were taking on Tennessee, and Tennessee showed up. They just dominated Oklahoma from the opening whistle, and there was nothing that they could have done. Tennessee just ended up demolishing them. Then we head out to Lubbock, where Arizona State came in. I had more faith in the Sun Devils than did the Red Raiders. Red Raiders ran circles around the Sun Devils and extinguished their flame. Ended up winning that one, and those are my 5 losses. I picked the BYU over K-State. So once again, I went with BYU, who are underdogs in that game. That's 2 games now. I've picked them. They were underdogs, and they won them both. BYU is being a sneakily good team that I think is being overlooked right now. Louisville, no match for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech peaked too early, I think. So we'll see how they transpire. Iowa winning that Floyd Rosedale heavy trophy. But going 5-5, not the end of the world. Definitely improvement from the 4-6 I did in week 3. Let's see if we can improve in week 5. Week 5, trying to come up with 10 games on Saturday was a hard thing to do. I think I ended up having something like 14 games I was going to look at. It's just like, oh, this will be interesting. This will be interesting. This will be interesting. So I had to dwindle things down. Some of the games I had to get rid of was Liberty and Appalachian State, Wisconsin, USC, Colorado, Central Florida, Stanford and Clemson. Could be an interesting showdown. But we're not talking about those. So let's dive into the 10. Like I said, it's going to be a fun. This is, I think, by far probably the best week right now for college football. And we'll kind of see how these games will transpire in terms of the shape of the playoffs. Head up to Manhattan, Kansas, where K-State, reeling from their loss in Provo, now play host to Oklahoma State, who also lost to a Utah program. Both schools are 3-1, still in the top 25. And trying to see which one will come out on top. Like I said, Oklahoma State had a bad start last week and then start coming back, but it was a little too late. K-State was just out of the game from the get-go. Can Bowman kind of recover from his fiasco against the Utes on the Wildcats? I think he can. Can Gibbons give the Wildcats a good running attack? He probably will get some yards, but not much else. Right now, the line has K-State at 5. I'm going with Oklahoma State on this one. I kind of believe more in the Pokies than I do the Wildcats. But, anything can happen. And I have a feeling this is going to be a toss-up game, to tell you the truth. But I will take the Cowboys to Oklahoma State. Then we have to Bloomington, Indiana, with a low-key good game. Neither team are ranked, but Maryland's 3-1. Their only blemish so far is that loss to Michigan State. And an undefeated Indiana. Remember, they went into the Rose Bowl and beat UCLA. It's not saying much. But, not a lot is being paid attention to this one. Edwards for the Terrapins, over 1,000 yards already with 8 touchdowns, only 2 picks. So he's pretty good in getting the ball placement out there. Ellison for the Hoosiers, almost 300 yards, but 4 touchdowns in 4 games. So he's good for a touchdown a game. It's one of these things that the Maryland defense is going to have to concentrate on. Can Indiana curtail the passing attack the Terrapins will bring in? That's going to be a key factor. When Indiana went to UCLA, I didn't believe the hype. I didn't jump on that train, and they bit me. I'm hesitant to go with them this time frame, but they are favored by 7. I do have a feeling they will get to that 5th win, and it should make an interesting case for the Big Ten of Indiana and them going 5-0. A school you didn't really think of, but you still have probably other heavy hitters on their schedule they have to worry about. But I'm taking the Hoosiers to win at home. Head up to Southbend, where the Fighting Irish will play host to Louisville. 8 top 25 matchup between 2 programs, and Louisville coming in undefeated. This one should be good. For the Irish, they tend to show up to play teams of higher quality, and they tend to just play lame ducks against, other programs. So their other 3 games they have played outside, A&M, the 2 MAC, and then Purdue, they struggle against the MAC programs. Obliterated Purdue. So, but they stepped up against Texas A&M in a hostile environment. Can they step up and defend their home turf against a very quality team in Louisville? I believe they can. Can Notre Dame's offense step up? That's going to be a thing. I think they can. Can Notre Dame's offensive line hold up? That's the question mark. Injuries are going to play a huge factor for the Irish. Right now, they're favored by 6.5. And I'll probably be a little biased in terms of this one, but I am taking the Irish in this one, but it's going to be probably by 2. This is going to be a back-and-forth game. I really do believe that. If Leonard can compose himself and not make too many mistakes and connect the way he did against A&M, the way he did against Purdue, the way he did against Miami of Ohio, it'd be great. As long as they don't have that game like they did against Northern Illinois, Notre Dame will be all right. But Louisville will definitely make this a contest. There's no question about that. I think Louisville needs this one to try to fade out that Northern Illinois loss, get a little more clout in terms of playoff push. But I still think they're still at this point in time sitting outside looking in, even with the win. A lot of things have to go their way to move up the ladder. But we'll give to the Irish, but I'll take Louisville for the points. Now go ahead to Las Vegas, where undefeated UNLV will play host to 3-1 Fresno State. There's another contest that's kind of flying under the radar. But this one will have an added twist. UNLV starter, Holy Cross transfer, is saying he is sitting out the season because he's not getting the money he was promised in the NIL. Even though his agent, which I didn't think it was allowed, or spokesman, said he was guaranteed over the phone money to play at UNLV and he's yet to receive anything. UNLV's like, no, we're not doing that. It's against the pay for play policy, which is also against state law in Nevada. So he's sitting out. This would change the aspect of this game. Because initially I had UNLV win this one because UNLV overall is a pretty solid program. They have rebuilt themselves. I give them kudos. They didn't fall off the train like New Mexico State has done or UTEP has done. They've stayed up there. But right now the line still has the Rebels by 2. I'm going to put more faith in Keene, but he needs to keep his interceptions to a minimum because right now, he's not having he's guaranteed interception in the game, and he needs to not throw a pick. But the running attack needs to be more proficient in yardage. I mean, they get the touchdowns, but they need more yards in the running attack. That's going to be a problem. I'll give this one now to Fresno State because of the cold quarterback situation right now with UNLV. Now we head to Durham, North Carolina, where undefeated Duke would take on 3-1 North Carolina. And this grand rivalry between these two historic programs. Normally this rivalry is better for Cameron Indoor and the Hardwood, but we're playing on the gridiron. And both these programs have really elevated to not be the laughingstock in universities, but actually be, decent football programs and give a very good presence in the ACC. Can North Carolina rebound from their abysmal defensive output against James Madison? Will allow James Madison to rack up 70 points. Probably not. It seems like the defenses for North Carolina need not apply. And they still put up huge numbers against James Madison. You score 50 points and still lose? I mean, that's significant right there. But it's that defense that's going to bite to Tarheels. Now for Duke, they have to worry about not ensuring that Murphy doesn't throw too many picks. I mean, he's guaranteed to pick a game. He almost averages 3 touchdowns a game. So it's the offense of Duke that's going to play havoc, and we saw what happened when you have a very prolific offense playing against North Carolina defense. North Carolina folds. Right now, Duke's favored by 2.5. But I'm taking the Tar Heels. I know the way I've been talking, I'm like Duke, but I'm taking the Tar Heels in this one. I have a feeling they're going to step up and play in this game. This is going to be a very close game. There's no doubt about that one. It's going to be close. I don't see a 70-50 game. Maybe 48-45, 38-35 showing, but I think it's going to be like that. It's going to be a 3-point affair between the two, but I'm taking the Tar Heels. Now, Ohio State will travel up north, but this time to East Lansing to take on Michigan State. The problem with Michigan State is Charles is throwing way too many picks. That's going to be a huge factor in this one. I think Ohio State's going to go up there trying to establish dominance. Right now, the line is 23.5. I don't know by 23, maybe 21. But I think Ohio State will go in there and establish themselves and walk away with a nice victory in conference play. A huge game, a top 5 showdown on Saturday night on ABC between Georgia and Alabama. Both programs undefeated. They're riding high right now. Both of them have national championship aspirations. Everyone thought Alabama was going to be out of the running once Saban left, but I think they kind of got a little better. It's which defense is going to step up. Now, I think that's going to be the key factor in this one. Which defense is going to ensure which quarterback is not going to have a very productive game? And that's really hard to determine. Both quarterbacks are doing extremely well. And Beck, with his 7 touchdowns and in 3 games, and you got to think he hasn't played all those games either, is key. But can Miller continue to do the running attack for the Tide? I mean, he has 265 yards on the ground in 3 games. The Georgia's defense is not going to allow that. It's just going to be you have one of two options with this game. Either it's going to be low scoring, or it's going to be a run and shoot type of game, a la James Madison, North Carolina. But maybe not that high. I have a feeling it's going to be a defensive showdown between these two, and I'm going to take the Bulldogs to go in Tuscaloosa and beat the Tide. Right now, Georgia's favored by 2. I like that. Go Dogs. And on NBC, and that same time frame, we have a top 20 matchup between the undefeated Nittany Lions of Penn State and the undefeated Fighting Illini of Illinois. It's a clash at Beaver Stadium, and this is where Illinois' magical run ends. They had some great games. I watched that game against Nebraska, and I saw how they stepped up to a defense, and their defense themselves stepped up to the role. Watched the game against Kansas, how they were able to handle Kansas as well. So Illini themselves look like a good team. Can they hit the next level is, I think, the concern I have with this team right now. Altmaier is doing extremely well, 10 touchdowns in 4 games. I mean, that is a phenomenal aspect. But Singleton for the Lions is going to try to find ways to establish a dominant running attack for the Nittany Lions. His 300 yards in 3 games. He's good for 100 yards a game. That's always a key. He doesn't really find the pay dirt. But right now, the line is 18 for Penn State. I would take the Illini for the points just because of their defense. I think their defense will hold up for 3 quarters and then collapse from the weight because they're going to be on the field a lot. But I do think that Penn State's going to end up winning this game. But I want to give out the love for the Illini for starting off strong. I mean, you already have two big wins already with Kansas and Nebraska. But I think Penn State is going to be the kryptonite. They'll kind of fall short against the Lions, but they should make this a game. And that's all I care for, to see them make sure that they have some type of presence going forward. But yeah, Nittany Lions, but things can probably be like a 13-point win. Then we have to Boise, Idaho, where the 25th ranked Broncos play host to undefeated Wazoo. I don't know why Washington State's not ranked. These will now be future conference members. And Mateer has really had a pretty productive 1,100 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, but 4 picks. So he's guaranteed a pick a game and almost 3 touchdowns a game. But can Jenny produce great running attack for him? He's over 580 yards rushing with 9 touchdowns, and that's going to be the key factor. Can Wazoo's defense contain this bucking Bronco? They did it with Washington. I didn't think they had a chance against UW, and they just took it to them. Right now, the line has Boise State by 7, and Boise State has shown they can play as well. I mean, they took Oregon to task, but fell short. I'm taking Wazoo in this matter. I think Wazoo is going to go in there, establish dominance pretty early, and to put themselves on top and try to keep Genty, contained in the backfield, limit his dominance, try and keep him out of the end zone. That's a key factor. If you limit his point input, that'll help out immensely. And to finish it off, we'll do it with a late night showdown up there in Salt Lake City with undefeated 10th ranked Utah playing host to 3-1 Arizona. And the way Utah played last week, they are, I think, the team to beat in the Big 12. I know it's weird to say. So used to them being in the pack. But I think they're going to be a team to beat. I don't see much issue with them. It doesn't matter who tends to be quarterback. It's just like a plug-and-play system up there. Bernard should have a productive game. He just needs to find the pay dirt more. He only has 1 touchdown, but he has over 450 yards rushing in 4 games. So maintaining that, but can the Utes secondary contain McMillan's prowess, because he has 450 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns in 3 games. So he's a prime target for Fafita, and trying to keep him contained to make sure he coughs up the ball more. He has 3 picks already, so he's guaranteed to throw at least 1 in this game. But can Utah force the errant throws, bad reads, and have the defense dominate this game? The offense close it out. Right now, Utah's favored by 10.5. I think it's a bit high for the Utes, but when they win in Oklahoma State, I didn't give them much credit for that one. So I like the 10 point, but not 10.5. But I'm still taking Utah to take this game. And there you go. Those were my picks. I know I kind of went on the limb in a couple of them. I think that Notre Dame game might bite me, taking the Irish. We'll see what happens with Fresno State UNLV with the whole quarterback situation. It's part of the problem with NIL, I believe. And when you don't have regulations set in place, you kind of let this free-for-all go, and this is the problems you create. But great weekend of college football action. A lot of top 25 matchups. That huge game of Tuscaloosa is going to be a dominant feature. And unfortunately, I'll be rotating between that and the game at Happy Valley. Just because, I want to root for Illinois, of course. I won't be able to watch, the Irish because they put it on Peacock, so put it behind a paywall. Good job. But definitely some interesting. There's some that Fresno State, like I said, Fresno State UNLV should be a quiet good game. Maryland Indiana should be another quiet good game. I think the Liberty App State, I didn't discuss it. That's going to be another quiet good game. So there's definitely a lot out there to keep us interested and trying to see who's going to come on top and which will come down. I mean, Arkansas A&M should be another quite a good one. Both schools are 3-1. But let me know which games you think I got wrong in my 10, which games you wish I covered, which game are you looking forward to the most? Let's mix it up down in the comments below. If you like what I've done and stuck around to the end, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. It really helps me out, really helps with the video out, really gets us out to the masses. Another thing to do is subscribe. A lot of you guys have subscribed. A lot of you are for doing that. Doesn't cost you a dime. All you need to do is hit that subscribe button, click that bell icon, turn notifications, let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I'll see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.